Welcome back to Ayaz. In this video series, we are going to clone the desktop version of Google Contacts app from the scratch. This is going to be very useful for the beginners as well because we will not use any kind of framework. We will build it from HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript, Node.js, and MySQL. And this is going to be a complete course in which you are going to learn how to build front end and how to build the back end by using Node.js and MySQL. So let's begin. First of all, we will start from the front end. So we will try to complete the front end first. Once front end is completed, then we will start working toward the backend project in the Node.js. So stay tuned and let's begin. So this is my front end project that I already have created. This is a blank right now, and I already have created the repositories for you. So you will get all code for all of the projects. So you are basically going to get two repositories, front end and the back end, and you will have access to both of these repositories. So after it is uploaded, you will have access to these code bases and you can see any of these code. I will upload all of the commits, so you will be able to see any changes that are happening in real time. So let's begin. So before starting, let's plan. First, in this layout, you can see this is the Google Contacts desktop version, and here we can plan. For example, here we can see we have a header and we have a left sidebar. After that, we have a content section. So let's keep working on them. We will first of all we need a main file called index.html. Okay, now we need to create the basic starter HTML code for it. Okay, so next I'm going to create the placeholders for all of the sections. For example, div header, and this is going to be the sidebar, and this is the content. In the header, you can see that we have around three section, I guess. This is the first sections, this is the second section, you can call it column. So in the header we have three columns: first, second for the search, third for these actions. So we will build the basic version. We will not build the everything because that would take a lot of time. So I will try to cover as much as possible in this course. For example, we will have the search, we will have the log out, login button from here, and in the sidebar we will have contacts, and we will, so in the contacts and also create contact button, so you will be able to uh, create, delete or update your contacts. And other than that, we will also implement the create label feature. You can create labels and you can attach those labels with any of these contacts very easily. So in the header I am going to create three sections. Div, I would call it logo section. You can call it anything, whatever you prefer. And after that, this is search section, and third one is you can call it actions and section. Okay, so now We also want to see something in the browser. Right now nothing is opening. I'm going to open it in the browser. I already have you can open it manually by going to the folders, but I have an extension that is called live server, so you can open your HTML on watch mode from your VS Code directly. So just click on that. That would start a server and serve that HTML file in the browser. It works in real time. For example, if I make any change, I don't have to reload the browser. It will reload it by itself. So it is really cool. You can try if you want. Otherwise, it is fine. You can just go to the folder and open it manually in your browser. So we have our app running in empty app running in the browser. Now I want some borders so that I can see what is going on with these divs. So for that we need a CSS file. So in this project, I'm going to use SASS or SCSS to manage my CSS. So SASS is very simple and very easy to understand. Actually, it is easier than CSS. Obviously, it uses the CSS code, but it you can say that it is a wrapper around CSS, and it makes your life very easy. So I could use CSS, but I would prefer SASS in this project to save all of us time, because you know uh, it we have to write a lot of extra code in the CSS if you use the plain CSS. But if you use SAS, then you don't have to rewrite things. You will see in short amount of time. So for that, I'm going to create another folder, assets. In the assets folder, I'm going to put my all of the assets like images, CSS, and things like that. You can also put your fonts as well in this folder. So right now I need to add only two folders, CSS and SAS. In the SAS, I am going to add another file, index.scss. And now I need to compile my SAS so that it could be compiled into the CSS folder. So, so because browser does not understand the SAS or SCSS, so we have to have a compiler that should compile any CSS that we write into the normal plain CSS file, and then the browser would be able to read that CSS from this folder. So for that we need to install some dependencies. For that we need to initialize the npm in this project. So don't worry about the npm too much, because npm is not compulsory. The reason is that I'm using npm only for compiling the SAS. If you want to use your own compiler or something else to compile your SAS, then it's fine. No need to use npm. But if you just want to follow my course video, just keep doing whatever I'm doing. If you don't know what is npm or how to install npm in your computer, then you can check my channel. I already have recorded a video how to install npm on your computer. You can just go there and install it first and then come back and follow it. So I need to install a library called npm install node sass, and I need, actually before that I need to initialize the npm project in this folder. For that I would do npm init and press enter. Keep doing, let's add everything as default. If you want to change any detail, it just actually asks you some questions. uh, Normally we just press enter for every question to use the default values. So it is done. You can see now we have a package.json file, and in this file I'm going to install a package called npm install node sass and save dev. I want to save it as a development dependency. And after it is done, you will see it would be added in the package.json file. All right, you can see that this library has been added. After that, we have to add some commands, scripts. For that, type CSS, and or you can say SCS or whatever you prefer, it's up to you. And in this you have to type node sass, and here you need to provide specify the path of the sass folder. So before that, just look at this. It is showing that there are too many files in the git uh, change area. So it is saying that we have changed 3000 plus files. That is not good. We created just few files, so it is actually counting the auto-generated file from the node modules. And normally in the git projects we don't consider the node modules folder, we just ignore them from the git repository. To ignore the node module, just create a new file dot git ignore. And if you are not using git, just don't worry about it. If you are using git, then you should use the git ignore and ignore the node modules folder from your project. Otherwise you will see that you have a lot of changes to commit. And if you commit these many changes, then your git repository would be very heavy in size. So we don't want that, because you can see that we are just very few files and these are not heavy at all, and I don't want to make it heavy in size unnecessarily. So I have ignored my node modules folder. Now I'm going to resume my script. So in this script we need to provide the CSS SASS folder, and it is in the assets SASS. That's it. And then type space, and then we need to provide the output directory. That's mean the directory where you want to save the output for your SASS files. I want to save the output in the assets/css file. For that, type -o space assets and CSS. Now let's try if that works or not. I will add some SASS style in this. For example, body color red for now. And now let's run this script that I just have added, scss, type npm run scss. Okay, it is showing me some progress, and you can see that there is no error. That's mean it worked well, and it should, if you go to the CSS folder, you can see that the CSS has been added. It is generated. Now this is the CSS file that you need to add in your HTML file. So go to the HTML file, type link href, and type the path of the CSS file that is in the assets css and index.cs. So don't specify the path of the SASS file, because browser will not understand what is that. If you specify the CSS, then it will understand, obviously. So in the relation, type the style sheet. Okay, now I am going to add some text to see if that becomes red because of the red color that I just added for testing purpose in the SASS. Save it, and you can see we have the red color. Okay, so I think we are ready to progress, and because our project is almost, the basic setup is done, the SASS compiler is active. I mean, it is installed, but it is not watching it. What I mean by watching is that if you make any change in your SASS, it will not automatically update the CSS file. So whenever you make any change, every time you have to go to your terminal and you have to retype the command npm run scss to recompile it. But that is not convenient at all. You want to make it dynamic. You want to make it compile it automatically in runtime. Whenever you make any change, you want your code to be compiled. So for that, we need to go back to the package.json, and we have to add another script that would compile our SASS in the watch mode. So watch mode means it will keep watching our SASS, and whenever it detects any change in our SASS, then it will recompile it in real time for us. So I'm going to add another script that would be scss. W stands for watch. You can type any name, it does not matter. So here type, first of all, I want every time when I run this command script, I want to compile my code first, because if I did not make any change, it will never build this CSS file. So for the first time, I want to build my CSS file based on the existing SAS file that I already have in the SAS folder. So now run npm run scss. It would run this command. After that, I would type and operator, and then I would type my another command. So I am actually going to copy paste the same command again, and here this with this flag I want to specify another flag that will be W. So obviously, W stands for watch. So that's mean if you add W, then it would watch your SAS. It would run the SAS compiler in the watch mode, and it will keep compiling your CSS in on the runtime. Okay, so now I'm going to run npm run SAS W. I did not save it, sorry. Okay, npm run SAS scss.w. Okay, now you can see that it did not stop. It is still running in the terminal, and it is in the watch mode. And to test it, I'm going to change the color from red to blue. And if I save it, it would immediately update the CSS file. And as I'm running a server with the help of VS Code plugin, uh, so that is why that plugin would reload my page automatically, because it would detect a change in the CSS file. So let's try. I saved it. No, actually did not reload the page, but one second. What's going on? It did not recompile. So let me see. Actually, let's change the arrangement of order of these flags. Instead of W at the end, I'm going to add on the start and see if that works. Stop it and run it again. Okay, so now it is blue in the CSS, and in the SAS it is, I'm going to change from blue to yellow to see if that updates the CSS immediately. You can see that now it is updating the CSS in the real time, and the page is also being refreshed every time, and that is happening because of this server about which I told you earlier. If you also want to install, just install it and start your server from this. So it is very convenient. Anyways, so for testing again, just change the color from yellow to orange, save it, go to your CSS file to see if it is updated. Yes, it is updated, and it is being reflected properly in my HTML. So that's it. I think our setup is done now, and now we may proceed to doing actual progress on our project. So before doing anything else, I'm going to do a commit uh, that I have completed my setup, completed basic setup. Okay, so All right. So now I want to add some borders around my header. For that, I would open my SASS again, remove this code and type header and border 1 pixel, solid, red. You can see that the border is visible, but we would also notice that there is a gap around this border. So before removing the gap, I'm going to add some height to this. Height 80 pixels. Okay. Now, obviously, we have to remove this gap from around this header. For that, actually, this gap is coming by default from the browser, and you can remove it. Obviously, in this project, we don't need this gap, so I would just type body. I think it is on body. Let me try. Adding 0 pixels. Okay. No, let's try margin. Okay. So if you have to remove the margin every time. Now it's fine. Now we need to add border for the inner elements, for example, logo section. So now here you are going to see the benefit of the SASS. So I'm just adding inside the header, and I don't have to repeat that this is inside the header. I just have to mention header once and it would understand it and it would generate this CSS for me. So I don't have to write all of that repeated CSS myself. So for example, I have added logo section and border 1 pixel, solid blue. And then I am going to add another section, search section after this one, border 1 pixel, solid orange. And you would see that it is actually working. I'm going to add the height, but before that, actually maybe we don't have to add height, because if we add display flex, then it would do a lot of things for us. So you can see that height is 100% now, but there is no width, so we have to specify for that. For example, I want search to consume the available space. For that, you just add a CSS in the search section, flex grow 1. It would automatically take up the available space. Let me see. Background color orange. Let me see. Yes, you can see it has taken the available space. And now I also want some minimum width, this fixed width for this section. For that, I'm going to add that width here. Flex, you can call it flex basis, or you can add minimum width, both might work. So here let's try 100 pixels as flex basis, and you can see it has taken the 100 pixels, but available space is being consumed by this section because of the flex grow. I need more space for the logo, so I think that is fine now. After that, I need another section for the actions on the right side. For that, let's copy the another ID and put it here. And now add flex basis. I want only 100 pixels maybe, and you can see it has taken its minimum width, and the available space is being consumed by this section because of the flex grow. So everything is going great. Now just let's look at our CSS file that is being generated every time we save any, make any changes and save it. and you will see that it is generating properly, and you will see that it is writing a lot of things for us automatically. We don't have to rewrite. You can see that every time you mention a child selector, you have to specify the selector of the parent every time. You have to type it every time. So in the development, repeated things is not a good thing. So we should not type anything repeatedly. So if something is being repeated, then you may have to improve your development. You may have to improve your code, so to and refactor it, and don't make it repeated. So here you can see it is being repeated, and we avoided this repetition by using SASS. You can see in the SASS we are not writing header again and again, and this is going to save our a lot of time. You will realize after some time. You may already have realized that it is a great thing, but you will also see a lot of other great features of the SASS. So anyways, this is not a SASS course, this is a Google Contacts clone course. So let's keep our focus on that. All right, our header skeleton is ready. Now I want the skeleton for the sidebar. Okay, so let's try. I'm going to get the selector for the sidebar as well now. And before that, I'm going to add another div here, content container. Okay, and I have added this inside that container. Now outside of the header, I'm going to add content container, and I would say that this is a display flex. And in this container, I want to add some styling to sidebar. Your border should be, or your background color should be something. Okay, and I have added that, but it is not reflecting in my layout. Why? Maybe the reason is that we did not added any width yet. So I'm going to add a width flex basis 200 pixels. Nope. Why? Let's see. Actually, the reason is that there was width, but there was no height of the parent. It was trying to follow the height of the parent, and the parent was consuming the 0 pixels height. So we have to set the height of the parent, and the child would automatically take that height from the parent. So I'm going to add height 100%. Nope. Let's see what's going on here. Let me see. Maybe let me try here as well. Okay, let's see what's going on in the inspect element. So you should also know how to use inspect element. In case if you are stuck somewhere, you can use it. It is very helpful. In the body, we have content container, and it is saying that the height is 0. Height is 0. Uh, okay, no problem. So for that, I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to add another. Actually, let's try something. So I will add display flex to the body. Display flex. Okay. And you will see some issues in the layout, but it's fine. So now I will add, let me add the width. Uh, okay. Okay. So header is now taking 100% width of its parent, and it is good now. After that, sidebar. header and side header and content container should be stacked vertically over each other. So first, so you can see that you can say that there should be only one column in the body. So that's why they should not. So when you add display flags to something, it automatically try to create multiple columns of the available nodes or child in that element. So in the body there are two elements, header and this one. So it is trying to add two columns. So I want to convert it in the vertical direction. For that I would change the direction of the flex. For that, type flex direction column. Oops, I mistakenly closed the VS Code. Let me open. Okay, so we have flex direction column, we have the height of the header. Next, the available space should be consumed by the content container automatically. For that, just add flex grow 1. Okay, nothing changed. Let me see what's going on. Actually, we did not set the height to the body. So go back to the body, add height 100%. Okay. Uh, Still, after adding height 100%, it is not working. So instead of wasting time on that, I'm just going to add height should be equal to the v 100 vh. VH means view height. So this visible screen is the view, and I want the height of the body equal to the 100% of the view. So it would automatically forcefully take that space. Now you can see that our sidebar is also visible now, because content container is now automatically growing and consuming the available space. And in the content container, we added the sidebar that is taking 200 pixels of the width and 100% of the parent height. After that, we have left only one section, that is content. So in the content, and so this is a flex. This we also specified the base width, minimum width that we want. Now we want to grow our content to consume the available space. For that, type flex grow 1 again, and if I add any color, you would notice that color, background color blue. You can see that it is consuming the space. So here you can see that our sketch is ready. The skeleton of this layout is ready. Now we can start working, and we will keep improving our layout over the time. Okay, so I'm going to remove all of the colors now. I don't like them at all. So remove the borders, remove the borders, remove the background color, and this one as well. Okay, so everything is gone because there is no content. Now let's add this icon, main menu icon. How to add a icon? How to add an icon? So there are several ways to add icons. You can add image icons, you can add SVG icons, or you can add font icons. I would prefer to use font awesome icons in this project. And if you don't know what is font awesome, or if you want to know how to use font awesome icons, you can just find I already have recorded a video about font awesome. You can just find in my YouTube channel and use it by following that video. but in this video I am going to use it again so you can learn from here as well. Okay, so just open the font. Awesome. Um, so this is a font awesome website from where you can find all of the icons. Now we need to add some CDN from the font awesome. Okay. So here you can see that it is showing some options how to use it. It is saying the easiest way is just to download it. So let's download it. For now, I'm going to use the font awesome 4, and I'm going to drag this in the VS Code. So in the VS Code, in the assets folder, as this font awesome is built by someone else, so I would just create another folder, vendors, and in the vendors I'm going to create another folder, font awesome. Okay, and actually let's drag it here, and I'm going to remove this one. Okay, rename this to the simple naming. Okay, so now let's see what we need to keep and what not. We don't need SASS, these files. I'm going to remove them. We need fonts and CSS, so that's it. Now use the minified version of the SASS and add it in your main file. So similarly type assets, vendors, font awesome CSS, and font awesome minified CSS. Okay, so add it on the top, and let's try if that works. So to test it, come here and find the icons. Oh, let me see. Maybe so if you want regular, just click on the regular, and uh, here I want a menu icon. Where is menu? This is the menu icon. Just click on that, and it is giving me the tag of the HTML that you just click it and it would copy on your clipboard and go back your CSS HTML and add it. I want it inside the logo section, so just paste it there and let's see if that works. No, it is not working. So let me see what's going on there. Actually, we have installed the font awesome 4, so for that, don't search from here, just search font awesome for icons and just click on this link, and that would land you on this page. Here, find the menu and click on that and copy this code. Okay, and go back your VS Code and paste it here. This is going to work definitely. Okay, so you can see that menu icon is visible. So next we need to add this logo. Okay, just save it, click on the save image as, and save it somewhere for now. Now I'm going to drag it to my project. Okay, Just put it here for now. Sorry, there. And here I'm going to add another folder called assets, images, in the assets folder, and drag this image into that folder. Now change the name, user icon. Okay, now I'm going to use it after the menu icon. Add the image tag, provide the path, images, and user icon. Okay, and it is too big. I want to make it small. For that, just type add the width attribute and provide the width. It should be a bit smaller further. For that, type 30. I think it is fine. Next, we need to add the context title after the logo and wrap it inside another div, logo. Okay, and let's see. So far it is not looking great, and we will definitely make it great. In the CSS, I need to add a padding, horizontal padding around it on the left and right. For that, type padding left 20 pixels, padding right 20 pixels. Okay, next we need to, so right now you can see that these are not in the same row. Actually, it is not aligned properly. So also this is a div and this is in a separate, this div is taking full space, so they are not coming in one row. To make it, to fix it, I am just going to add some flex styling. For that, copy the logo section selector. Actually, we already have here. Just type display flex and see the results. You can see some improvements. Now we need to align it vertically in the middle. For that, type align item center, and after that we need a gap between these two elements. So as you can see, there is a gap, so I'm going to add like a gap of 20 pixels and see how it looks. I think it is better. And now this logo and this text are not vertically in the middle of each other. For that, just select the logo selector, and inside this selector type logo and give it display flex, and then line item center. Okay, and now we need to add a gap. For that, type gap 20 pixels. I guess 20 is too much. I need to reduce it. Okay, now the font size should be a bit larger. For that, type font size 25, I guess. Oh, it is too big. Type 18. I think it's sufficient. Now we need to change the font family because this one is not looking great at all. For that, go to the body and type font family, and let's try Arial for now. All right, now I want to change the text color for the menu and for the context text. For that, just type in the header, type color CCC. It is too gray, too light. I need to make it a little bit darker. For that, over it and drag this down to the darker shade. Okay, it should be a little bit lighter further. I think it's better than before. And another bad thing that I can see here is that there is too much gap above the logo. In the original, the gap is too less, so it is looking bad actually. So actually, you can see that it is actually in the middle of the header. So this gap is because of the height of the header. If we reduce the height of the header, then this gap would also be reduced automatically because it is in the middle. So I'm going to reduce the height from 80 to 60. Let's see. Uh, I think it should be 50. Okay, great. I think it is perfect now. Next, we need to add the search bar. So we already have a div for the search bar. I'm just going to add an input type text, and placeholder should be equal to search. Okay, we have the search here. Next, we need to add the height for that search. So before that, I also want to add a container around it. And the reason is that we need to add this arrow search button as well within the input. So for that, we need this thing. I would explain it shortly by doing practical. So we have it, and we also need the icon, search icon. For that, uh, just go back to the Font Awesome website and search for that icon. Search. Okay, we have found the icon. Copy it and go back to your app and paste it before the input tag. And you can see the search icon is here, but it is still not looking like this. So for that, we have to make some changes. So now copy the search container and add it here. And the width should be 80% of the parent, I guess. Let's see if it is actually not 80, it is 50%, I guess. So I want to make it 50% in the width, and the inside of it, the input should be 100% of the parent. This is the parent, so it should be the 100% of this, and this should be the 50% of its parent, that is the search section. And add width 100%. You can see that now it is consuming the 100% space of this parent. And now uh, we need to style the button as well. For that, I'm going to wrap it inside the button. Okay, and just style it as well. So here I'm going to say that button should have position absolute, and it should be aligned to the left 0 pixels. Something is wrong. The wrong is that whenever you use the absolute, make sure that you add position relative to your parent so that it could respect the parent. Otherwise, it would not care for this parent. It would just consider anyone outside of this parent and follow them. So it is taking any nearest relative object, a relative element, and following its coordinates. So we want to have we want to make button left 0 from this parent. For that, just type position relative. Okay, and you can see that has fixed my problem. Now I want to increase the height of my input. For that, type height 30 pixels. And what else? The border, there should not be any border, but there should be a background color. Border 0 and background should be gray. Let's see how it looks like. It is too dark. I want to make it very light. So let's try this one. It should be bit lighter further. All right. Now I feel like we need to increase the height a little bit. I would add 5 pixels further in it, and the button should be in the middle. So for that, I'm going to first of all, I don't want this box around the button. For that, I'm going to remove the color background, color transparent, and the border should be 0. Now I want to add a padding left of the input, because you can see that this input, the placeholder is starting from this position, so that uh, we could show the icon properly. For that, I'm going to add padding left 100 pixels maybe. I think it is too much, so for that I'm going to reduce it up to 60 pixels. I guess that is sufficient now. Now it's time to bring the button in the middle. For that, I'm going to add the height 100%, and the width should be uh, 60 pixels, because we have added padding left 60. So we have 60 pixels of the space that we can consume for this button, and you can see that it is in the center, and the color still needs to be changed. And also I think that 60 pixel is too much. I guess it can be 40. Okay, it is fine. Now I want to change the color for the icon. For that, just type the color and see. It is too light, so it should be a bit darker. For that, type 333. I think it should be lighter further. Okay, I think that is fine, and the search text should be a bit lighter maybe. I don't know. So color, I'm going to make it should be bit darker than the background, right? So for that, I'm going to drag this knob a little bit downward and see. I guess it is fine maybe. And also I don't like this outline, so let's remove it. To remove the outline, just type outline none. Okay, now we need to add some margin on the top. Here you can see that there is a margin, so just type margin top 10 pixels. It is too much. I want to reduce it to the 7 pixels and see. I think it is fine. Next, the border radius should be a little bit there, like in the original website. For that, just type border radius 5 pixels, and I think it is fine. So, but another issue I can see is that this button is now not in the middle. Why is that? The reason is that let me see, why is that? Let's inspect it to see the issue. So you can see button is already there. Maybe we should make use of the flex box at display flex align item center justify content center. No, it is still not looking great. Oh, actually, as the position of the button is absolute, so it is randomly taking starting from the top. You can, if I hover my mouse, so you can see that highlighted area, it is going above the container. So actually, no. Uh, Actually, container is also touching to the boundary. So instead of adding margin top over the input, why not we just add the padding top on this container? That would fix both of the issues. That would also add the gap above the input, and that would also fix the positioning for the search icon. So let's remove the margin top and add it here. Instead of margin top, I'm going to say padding top. Okay. And uh, what is going on here now? Let me see. So this is the button, and now button is going uh, outside from the bottom side. Okay. Why is that? Let me see. The reason is that the height of the, no, one second. So actually button is taking 100% of the parent, and the parent has actually 44 pixel of height because of the padding as well on the top. So we have to remove some pixels. So for example, we have added 7 pixel padding on the top. So we don't want to consider that padding. So in the button, I want to reduce the height of the button, right? For that, I'm just using calc function 100% minus 7 pixels. So this would remove this gap because we just want to follow the height of this input. Now you can see it is looking perfect. Uh, okay, something is wrong here. The color is not great, it is worst. For that, go back to input and let's change the color. Okay, yeah, it is perfect now. All right, we have the menu button in place. We have the contacts logo. We have the input where we can try to search, and we also need the action button, one of the action buttons. But before that, maybe we should add. Actually, let's keep it simple for now, and then we will work on the search section further to make it functional. Because when you type, it should show the drop down as well. For example, uh, I'm typing, you can see that it is showing the suggestions in the drop down. So once our basic layout is ready, then we will keep making it more complex over time. Okay, so I think that's it for now. uh, I will cover more things in my next video, so stay tuned and follow my YouTube channels to get notifications. Click on the bell icon to get those notifications. So see you later in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.